Hey guys, it's Nick here, and today we will be seeing how meeting Alpha at the border will go, with Rick having the perfect plan to bring her down. And today we will finally get the revelation as to where Beta has been for all of this time. This is part 10 to the remake of What If Negan Killed Maggie. So, to start up, if you don't remember the groups that were staging the plan against Alpha thing with like Rick and everything else, then watch the last video. To basically sum it up, we have Rick, who is taking one half of all their group to go see Alpha, where she talks about being on their land, and this time, other than my other remake, now they've been on the land twice. One during the fire, and then again with Michonne and Aaron. But there was no need to go on their land for Winter Storm, so that's not an issue. But we have Rick's group dealing with that, while Glenn leads a group to wait for the perfect opportunity, or till Alpha shuts her mouth, and then kill all the Whisperers on sight. End the war right then and there. So, with Rick and them talking to Alpha, Glenn is the farthest out to make sure he hears, or at least sees, whenever it's the perfect time to make a move. And he's just about to give the signal, when just then, everybody stops, including Glenn, because they all hear something. They can't place it, but it is coming from all around them, and every one of Glenn's group is sitting still. So, the fact that the group hears rustling of leaves in the dark woods definitely sets them on edge. This could mean one of two things. The Whisperers caught on to their plans, or walkers in general. Just then, Spencer collapses to the ground, holding his guts. He's been stabbed. What? That means that for sure the Whisperers must have caught on to their plan. Right after, a Whisperer is seen, the one who exactly stabbed Spencer. So that pretty much is a dead confirmation. Then, Richard falls. He is the next one to be killed by a second Whisperer. So already, they've lost two of their people. Glenn cowers behind a tree, not knowing as to where these Whisperers could have came from. How did they know about this? Was it too many people? Is that how they figured out the plan? Or is there more to this than meets the eye? Just then, Glenn sees someone rushing towards him. A dark, looming shadow that is running towards him at a ferocious speed. And it's a big guy, too. And this sets Glenn on edge, but he can't see, because of how dark it is, who exactly the figure is. But before he can figure it out, he is then slammed in the head to the ground and hits the bark edge of the tree. And this would be a very bad thing, because Glenn would have just been recovering and everything from past marks on his face from the bat against his face. Not the head, but still, this would be a big injury. And who did this? Beta, with two red scars right under his eyes. Yep, I told you guys Beta was alive and he'd be coming back. It wasn't Whisperers knowing about the plan. It was Beta all along. And if you guys are confused by this, it's because Negan... I took a page out of my other remake to say that Negan and Daryl would go on the same plan and fight Beta together like Daryl did in episode 13 of season 9. But since Negan's bat had been through way more torture and peril, it took only 3 strikes instead of 6 before the bat broke. So, yeah, that means that Daryl didn't get the stab in both Beta's eyes and he actually survived. And you know what's funny? Since Brandon is still around in this timeline, because there wouldn't have been an instance as to him getting killed and killing the mother and son and everything else, that means that he would most likely have the backup bat that we saw in Season 10. So, Negan would be getting the bat back so quick between episodes, I feel, that it would be very confusing as to when he got it, but that's why I'm here. It would be so fast you would basically not even know what happened. But, yeah. So, Negan would have another bat by this point, so if Beta were to have encountered him, he'd be confused to the fact as him having another bat. Anyway, besides that, Beta, now having made his full appearance and presence known, is looming over Glenn right now. And now everybody knows that this wasn't the Whisperer's plan. Beta survived, and this was his plan. Beta then tells the Whisperers to come out and attack. Just then, a bunch of walkers and Whisperers seemingly come out of nowhere. It was as if this whole thing had been staged up by Beta. Keep in mind, Beta did not return to Alpha yet, so Alpha does not know that Beta is alive. This is still unknown. Carol, Ezekiel, Tara, Enid, and Benjamin, all being there and the only ones other than Glenn alive, fend off the Whisperers and Walkers, the best of their ability, killing all of them with a bit of a fight, but in the end, the battle is not too hard. But the looming number of the Whisperers and Walkers, both of which having been Beta's original in Season 9 and added, is a bit of a fight, but not truly a threat. Anyway, Glenn fights Beta, and as much as you think that Glenn probably would not stand a living chance here, keep in mind, he did hold his own against Abraham for a substantial amount of time. Granted, he wasn't able to beat him, but he was able to topple a freaking soldier. Abraham was a soldier, and Glenn still held his own. But Beta is, I feel, much stronger than Abraham, if not maybe just a little bit stronger. So as much as Glenn would be able to hold his own, especially surviving for this long, it sadly still wouldn't be enough. And Beta would still hold the edge overall. But, like I said, Glenn does put up a fight here, and especially with everything that he's been through, it definitely shows for his growth over the past years and everything else. And soon enough, we see a more injured Glenn than we have ever seen. Can Glenn really survive here? Will Alpha ever figure out that Beta's alive and catch on to Rick's plan? Or is Beta's return here going to make things worse for both the Whisperers and Rick's group? That's where we leave things for the moment. Hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Sorry for the sudden pause in between, had to collect my thoughts, and sorry again for this being kind of shorter than my other videos. It's because if I were to put this on any longer, this would make for a very long video. But I hope you guys enjoyed nonetheless, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time.